Let's jump right into this explainer, because today we're exploring a completely fascinating concept, the paradox of spiritual peace. It's a paradox that honestly challenges everything we naturally want to do when life gets really hard. What if I told you the only way out of your worldly struggles is to actually walk right through the dead center of them?
This brilliant question right here, it sits at the very heart of today's philosophical journey, and it challenges a totally deep-seated, incredibly human instinct. I mean, think about it. When the bills pile up, when relationships fracture, or when we just feel completely overwhelmed, our first thought is almost always, I just want to escape. We dream of retreating to a quiet mountain somewhere or just checking out of it all. But the source text we're analyzing today makes this really profound argument. It asks us, can you ever genuinely put down a heavy burden if you've never actually had the strength to pick it up in the first place?
Okay, so to really unpack this paradox, we first have to define what it actually means to engage with the world. Basically, engaging is living the raw, heavy human experience. It means stepping fully into human society, standing firmly on the grounds of material reality, science, and human history. It is literally the absolute opposite of isolation. You're dealing with mundane, everyday stuff. You're navigating the moral norms of civilization, and you're interacting deeply with the people around you. You aren't just watching life from the sidelines. You're right there in the arena, tasting every single flavor life has to offer. The sweet, the sour, the bitter, the whole shebang.
And the source material is super explicit about what this engagement looks like. It completely captures the sheer, crushing weight of worldly experience. We're talking about the whole spectrum here, from the intoxicating joy of success and wealth, straight down to the visceral torments of hope and despair. It means experiencing the burning humiliation of being deceived or bullied. It's feeling that suffocating anxiety of crushing debt when you have literally nowhere to hide. The physical agony of a chronic illness, and the bitter loneliness of old age when you feel totally unsupported. It's the full, unfiltered spectrum of human suffering and triumph.
Engaging means accepting this mandatory sequence. Listen, there are absolutely no cheat codes here. You must walk the necessary path of human civilization: birth, aging, sickness, and death. And to engage is to understand that these aren't just biological events, they are profound emotional milestones. You have to feel every intense emotion along this sequence, right? The crushing grief of separation, the thrill of reunion, the total confusion of an unclear future, and the sorrow of losing what you love. It's about being fully, 100% present for the inescapable reality of having a physical body in a material world.
But now, let's do a complete 180. We're going to abruptly shift our perspective and contrast this heavy, worldly existence with its absolute opposite: disengaging from the world. If engaging is anchored in this materialistic, scientific, human-centric world we just talked about, disengaging is completely non-material. It's anti-scientific in the sense that it totally rejects the physical limitations of the universe, and instead it adopts this massive cosmic perspective. It is the ultimate state of detachment, where the everyday, mundane worries of human society simply do not have any grip on your consciousness anymore.
Let's define this clearly, because it's a real game changer. Disengaging is this profound mental shift where you view your life almost as if you are a departed soul. Imagine looking down at the world and human society from a celestial vantage point. From this state, you are completely, totally detached from your circumstances. It doesn't matter if you're in a great situation or a terrible one. It doesn't matter if millions of people love you, or if they all hate you, or if you're fabulously wealthy or utterly broke. You look at all of it with the absolute calm of someone who has already left the physical realm far behind.
And from this vast cosmic viewpoint, time itself completely changes. Your transient physical life is measured against the infinite universe. When you are truly disengaged, 1,000 years, it feels like literally a single fleeting second. You stop obsessing over the tiny temporary anxieties of your daily routine. Instead, your whole focus shifts to the eternal. You start to contemplate how to transform your short, tangible existence into something infinite. The daily grind just loses all its power over you because you're finally viewing it through the lens of eternity.
Throughout history, we've actually seen masters who perfectly embodied this level of disengagement. Take Lao Tzu, who literally abandoned his homeland and rode a green ox out into the unknown. Or Shakyamuni, the Buddha, who left behind his beloved family to seek the ultimate truth of the universe. And of course, Jesus, who flat out refused the incredible power of being an earthly king and chose the crucifixion instead. Every single one of them reached a state where the material world simply could not bind them anymore.
Now, this paradox is beautifully illustrated through a famous cultural song. It tells the story of an old monk and a young monk. So, the old monk, who has already endured worldly attachments and all the joys and sorrows that come with them, warns his young pupil who is about to go down the mountain. He tells him, "The women out of the mountains are like tigers. Avoid them."
Because the old monk knows from hard-won experience that worldly attachments are incredibly dangerous to spiritual peace, and they will absolutely eat away at a calm mind. Which leads us to the perfect question, doesn't it? The old monk practically handed him the answer key to spiritual peace. He warned him explicitly, and yet the song reveals that the young monk is immediately captivated anyway. He looks at these charming people down the mountain and thinks, well, these don't look like tigers at all. My master must be completely lying to me. So we really have to ask ourselves, why couldn't he just heed the warning? Why couldn't he accept the wisdom handed down to him and just skip all the suffering?
Well, the answer is profoundly simple, because he hasn't actually engaged with the world yet. Because the young monk hadn't experienced the world's pain, the betrayal, or the heartbreak himself, the tiger entered his heart anyway. He became obsessed, his mind wandering, completely unable to focus on his spiritual practice. And this perfectly proves the source's central thesis. You cannot skip straight to spiritual detachment. Unless you're born a fully enlightened being, you just can't understand the danger of the fire until you've actually felt its heat. Without the lived experience, the detachment is fake. It's just ignorance, not actual enlightenment.
Think about it like a metallurgy metaphor. You cannot simply pull a pure, gleaming gold right out of the earth. The raw material has to first be thrown into an intensely hot, refining fire. The impurities are literally burned away in this harsh, aggressive process. And only then, after all that heat, do you get pure gold. Human consciousness operates exactly the same way. The hardships of the everyday world, they are our refining fire.
It's the exact same deal with precious stones. You start with a raw mined rock. Sure, it might have incredible potential, but right out of the earth, it's rough and it's dull. To become a polished gemstone, it has to be subjected to rigorous, painful friction. It has to be cut, ground down, and polished. If you refuse the friction of human society, if you hide from the pain of relationships, failure, and struggle, you remain a raw stone. You literally never unlock the brilliant, transcendent facet of your mind.
So here is the absolutely crucial takeaway. Engaging first is actually the shortcut. It seems totally backwards, right? We think running away to some mountain retreat to avoid our problems is the fast track to peace. But the text argues that attempting to disengage without first fully engaging with the world is actually the long journey. It's a false start. The source literally compares it to trying to climb onto a roof without a ladder. You're just going to keep falling down. You have to climb the rungs of human experience, the joy, the debt, the sickness, the success, to ever reach the roof of enlightenment.
Which brings us to the number 81. The source text strongly emphasizes that we must endure all 81 tribulations to truly obtain the wisdom of the true scriptures. And this number, it represents the absolute totality of human hardship. You can't just pick and choose your challenges. You must face the honors, the insults, the unfairness, and the crushing defeats without running away. You have to steadfastly live in the world, accepting every single trial as a mandatory step on your journey towards your ideal destination.
And this leaves us with a profound, totally flipped reality. The rules of the universe are completely fair, but they operate on a logic we rarely appreciate. Calamity is blessing, blessing is calamity. The very things we run from are the exact things forging our transcendence. So to reach our ideal destination, can we finally see that our deepest worldly suffering is actually the key to our ultimate spiritual release? And if that's true, what hardship in your life right now, the one you are desperately trying to escape, is quietly acting as the exact ladder you need to climb to your ultimate peace?